Hi, and welcome back to Profiles in Caring. We've seen the surgical team at work in the OR, and while these surgeries are certainly changing lives, they're such a small part of what the Alliance is accomplishing here in Mali. Now it's time to follow the doctors out into the bush to see what else the Ouelessebougou Utah Alliance is doing.
Our team made pretty good progress while the roads were paved, but the further we got from Ouelessebougou, the worse the roads, the slower the pace, the more the vehicle creaked and groaned. Although we still made better time than the donkeys. The doctors saw children from Alliance-sponsored villages. Most of what they treated were ulcerated sores. There were a few infections they treated with antibiotics. Altogether, these villagers are better off than their non-sponsored counterparts because of what the Alliance teaches them.
Health has improved drastically because of immunizations, because of the focus on cleaning up the village.
Today we visited 2 villages and discussed with the village councils how they were doing about keeping their wells clean, how they were doing at keeping their villages clean, how they were doing at keeping the children cleaner.
We have health workers and matrons in all of our villages. A matron helps with childbirth and with nutrition and children's health, women's health. The health worker dispenses medications and treats general illnesses, injuries, those kinds of things. And we have now branched out. Our health initiative has become much broader. One of our real focuses right now is mosquito netting. We do vaccinations in partnership with the government. We do vaccinations 3 times a year.
Every year has been an improvement. One of the village elders told us today that with the addition of a chlorine-containing solution to their waters, they noticed that there aren't as many worms in the water at the end of the season. So they realized that that's probably a good thing. They've also noticed that there was less diarrheal disease amongst the children. They've also noticed that the wounds heal a little bit faster when they're kept clean. And so in general, they feel that their overall health has been improved from the presence of the Alliance here.
Through education, we've been able to teach many of those things. Some of the lessons that they teach actually in school is how to keep the water clean. How do you wash your hands? So health, I mean, to me, health is probably the #1 issue. You want to have a healthy village, and then you can educate a healthy village. When we first came in '99, we really knew very little about education. The executive director at that time had a broad idea of what was going on in programs. We had 14 schools, and we really knew very little about those schools. And as we arrived and started assessing the schools, we realized that the education that was taking place was it was what we would call a very didactic type of education. There was a lot of fear factor. Students were being struck if they made mistakes. So there was a lot of fear in the classroom. There was very little engagement. There wasn't much joy there. In fact, there was no joy there. It was not a fun place for kids to be. I'll never forget the first time we told the kids to turn and talk to each other. And they were like, it was so foreign to them that they didn't dare. So their teachers were all sitting in the back of the classroom. And I say all of them. The teachers from all 14 villages had come in, and they were in the back. So we turned to them through a translator, and we told them that they had to turn to each other and talk to each other and show the kids what they wanted them to do. And they all laughed, and then they did it. And from that point forward, then the children were able to do it. So we taught them how to get the kids to talk to each other, to engage in conversation and talk about their learning, because we know that that's how kids learn. And walking in classrooms now is very different than the first couple of years. We see students sitting around in circles. We see students sitting in tables. We see students engaging and laughing and singing and dancing. And it's exciting. We see joy in the teachers. They're happy. It's just much, much different. It's a much better place for kids and for teachers, both. We've seen a drastic increase in the number of girls going to school, which has been phenomenal. I've actually had someone ask me once, well, why would you teach them to read? They can't get a job. There's no employment available for them in the villages. But I view reading and literacy as something far more than just a means to employment. It opens the world to people. And so we're opening the world to ideas and creativity and collaboration. had. Many times the chief and the elders will tell us how powerful it is to have literacy in their village, to have their women read. I remember standing in a classroom a few years ago, and there was a young girl in the class who had had, I believe, probably polio prior to immunizations, and had survived, but was crippled, and was walking very haltingly with a stick, was only able to get around with that stick. And I remember looking at her and thinking, without the classroom, what future would she have? Because she can't carry water on her head. She can't carry a baby on her back. She can't pound mill it. She can't do the things that women normally do in the villages. But she can read. She can write letters. She can help with finance. She can do those kinds of things. So we've opened a window for her through education.
We'll have more with the Ouelessebougou Utah Alliance when Profiles in Caring continues. Stay with us.